Welcome everyone to Fandom Unplugged. This week we have an awesome week. We've got multiple topics on Star Wars, the Mandalorian movie coming. We've got Ahsoka Season 2 being rumored. We've got Star Wars What If. I don't know what that's going to be. We've got the director of the Rey movie. What was her thoughts and the drama around that and why it exploded the internet. We also have an awesome guest that I'm going to announce that here in a second. Let's dive on in. Welcome back. We have an awesome guest. Today we have from the YouTube channel DrewTube, from also the Cobra Kai Kid. It is Drew. What's up, buddy?
Bonsai, or should I say, hello there? Since we're going to be talking some Star Wars. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys so much for having me on today. I'm really excited to talk to you about some Star Wars and Cobra Kai, two of my favorite things.
Well, I wanted to make sure to get you some Cobra Kai thoughts because we've got the new season coming out. We've also got all the Star Wars news and breakdowns and just Star Wars busy right now.
It is. There's a lot going on, and it's gonna be some interesting topics to talk about. Shows, movies, different things, a lot of cool things.
Let's go ahead for our first topic. Our first topic is the fact that The Mandalorian is getting a movie. Also, we are getting some weird info when it comes to the season 4 of The Mandalorian. Basically, according to THR, The Mandalorian season 4 script were completed before the Hollywood strikes last year. But now the fate of the Star Wars TV show's next installment will reportedly be determined by the success of The Mandalorian and Grogu. If the movie is a hit, then Din Djarin and Grogu's story will continue to be told in movie sequels, rather than television installments. This report also states the movie has become the priority, meaning there is still a chance Mandalorian Season 4 could happen if there's either a storytelling opportunity to do so, or perhaps even more of an outcry from viewers. Though the mixed reviews of The Mandalorian Season 3 was met with doesn't make that seem likely. This is from Scream Rant. So that's what's interesting. They announced a movie, which to me personally was brilliant. I think, especially with the drama going around Star Wars, I think the idea of a Mandalorian Grogu movie is brilliant. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little mixed because I love Baby Yoda. I love Grogu. So I'm hyped to see him in the big screen. So that I'm excited for. But I think after season 3 was left with a lot of divisiveness amongst fans. I wasn't a huge fan of season 3. I think if this movie was announced after season 2, after the Luke Skywalker appearance, I think there would be a lot more hype around it. For me now, the question is, as you were mentioning, like, how is this going to tie into season 4? Do you need to watch the series to understand? Is this going to take place after season 3? And also, do you think The Mandalorian and Grogu, is that the name of the movie? Because it's not, I don't know if that's like the greatest, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
I hope not. I'm really hoping they don't go that route. But Audrey, what's your thoughts of this?
I don't know. They could think about the name a little bit more.
Yeah. But are you excited for the movie?
I am excited. I will agree. Season 3 did have several filler episodes. I'm just hoping it's going to be a good movie. I'm ready for a really good Star Wars movie.
Well, I think one thing as well with the season 3, I think one thing that helps this movie versus season 3, one, the focus became Bo-Katan. And I love Bo-Katan, but her becoming the focus of The Mandalorian, I think, hurt the season as a whole because it throws off the vibe of what they're trying to do with the show as a whole. Also, they had to have so many episodes. The story of season 3 is pretty short if you look at just the full story. So they had to add a lot of filler within it. You break this down into a movie. They ended season 3 with a pretty good conclusion for that arc, for the Mandalorian arc for those 3 seasons. So now you can go into season 4. He can be going on one mission, a big mission that's connecting to everything else. It can be very story driven. It can be tight. I'm hoping maybe like a 2-hour movie. Get it tight. And you won't have that feeling of, this feels like filler. Oh, I feel like I don't know where they're going. With a movie, they can make it a lot more tight. Also, I think it's brilliant because of the fact that you are calling him Baby Yoda. And that was what everyone called him. And that's why it exploded the internet. I remember like my parents were like, "Who is this baby Yoda? Did baby Yoda have a baby? What's going on?" And so I think it's brilliant. I think it really is because it hit the zeitgeist, the average fan, and that's where Star Wars has been missing. I don't think the average fan has been following along that well recently. But
Yeah.
I like where do you think they could go with a movie for the Mandalorian and Grogu based on everything we've seen with season 2 of Ahsoka and Mandalorian season 3? Where do you think they would go?
So, there is the Dave Filoni movie that we know is coming out. We don't know much about that, but that's apparently going to be like the Avengers Endgame or whatever of Star Wars. Apparently, you know, tying in all of the Disney Plus shows. So with this one, I don't know like what it's going to be. I hope, you know, they do something like that stands on its own where it doesn't like you don't have to watch every season of The Mandalorian to understand, because there's going to be a lot of general viewers who go into this movie who have never seen the Disney Plus shows, and you shouldn't really need to understand. And I think that's where there's been some controversy in like things where you have to like watch Disney Plus shows to understand movies. And I hope that this is I do think the movie's going to be good. I think the movie will be good exactly because of what you said, in terms of the fact that The Mandalorian, one of the biggest problems people have with the show is all these filler episodes. Like literally you could just have season 3, you probably just needed the first, second, and seventh and eighth episode, and that was the story. Other than that, it was kind of just filling in the gaps. So with this movie, it'll be more condensed. You have Jon Favreau working on it, and Mando and Baby Yoda or Grogu, they're popular characters. So hopefully they do something good with it. I feel like in isolation it'll be good, but I don't know if I can like believe it's happening until I see a trailer because there's so
Oh my
much
gosh.
announced. Like who knows what's
I don't think they know. I think the fact that the Star Wars universe is in such a I mean it's in chaos because no one knows what projects are going to happen. No one trusts that they're going to release these movies because they've canceled so many of them. But
Yeah.
Audrey, I'm kind of curious like what do you want to see Bo-Katan in this movie or do you want it just to be Grogu and Mando?
I mean, I still like Bo-Katan. I think it'd be cool if she would show up.
I would leave her for the Dave Filoni movie. I really would. I think you leave her kind of ruling Mandalore. Let that be the focus. Let Din and Grogu go on a solo
Well, I
mission
wouldn't mind if you see a little bit of her, but keep the focus to
to the
Mandalorian and Grogu.
right. And I think that's where I think we've had some issues was there was such a divide in season 3 of the focus. And cuz season 3 was not really about Mando at all. It was more about Bo. And if the show was called Bo Katan, I love it. I love it because that's the focus. I love this character. But because it wasn't focused on what we're watching the show for. But I do think this movie is brilliant because of the fact you've got to get audiences to see these characters in theaters. They've only been on Disney Plus. If they had just done the Dave Filoni movie's not going to do well because why would they want to go watch this if they'd never really seen these characters in theaters? They're all Disney Plus characters. And we saw that with the Marvels. The Marvels failed massively. Like money just was not there, and it was marketing around two characters that had only been seen on Disney Plus. So, so why are your everyday audience going to really get into that?
It's funny you say that because that's exactly the case. I am not a huge Marvel guy. I was aware of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. The other two, when I first saw the trailer, I thought they were new characters in this
Oh
universe.
wow!
I was like, "Oh, this is a fan of Captain Marvel. Cool. Like this is," but and then I'm like, "Wait, she's a show, Miss Marvel." I still don't know who the other one is. I don't even know what show she's in. Like I don't know.
She was on WandaVision, which I love the show. She was great in the show. WandaVision's such a good Disney Plus show. Just say it's so good. But you're right. If an everyday audience didn't know that, they didn't watch the Disney Plus show, why would you be marketing around these characters? and the fact that you weren't really interested because you didn't know these other characters is actually kind of cool to me. That we're getting the everyday person look at Marvel, because we kind of are in it so much. It's hard to see what someone else is going to think.
Yeah, yeah, that's me, just your everyday Marvel fan.
But everyone, let us know your thoughts. Are you excited for the Mandalorian movie? Are you worried? What's your overall thoughts of just Star Wars in general? Because it's messy. It's messy, and I feel like these movies. I'm excited for the movie, but the mess around it. In part of the same report, let's dive into the next topic. So within the same report, we are officially getting a season 2 of Ahsoka. The Mandalorian and Grogu will lead Lucasfilm's ongoing feature development slate, including films helmed by Shalmin Obaid-Chinoy, James Mangold, and Dave Filoni, who is also currently developing Ahsoka Season 2 among those in the work, the announcement said Variety. This is interesting. We're going to get a Season 2 of Ahsoka. I think we all kind of knew this was going to happen. The show ends on kind of a cliffhanger. It feels like it should be a Season 2. I fully think that the season finale of Season 2 was not, it was fine if it had been like the episode 5 instead of the episode, or like episode 5 or 6, not the last episode of the season. So I think that's where it felt like it was almost like a hollow. It didn't feel like it was a full season finale. It just felt like a hollow episode. But what was your thoughts on season 2 or season 1 and about them doing season 2?
That cliffhanger. For season 2, I'm excited for them to go more into the lore of Star Wars. And I'm also curious, the one actor who passed, I'm curious how they're gonna
Ray Stevens.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm curious how they're gonna handle him.
That's, to me, I you've got to recast. I hate to say it, but you have to. The character's story was not done. What's your thoughts, Drew?
Yeah, I think it's interesting what they will do. If they will recast or if they won't. There were discussions about recasting Princess Leia in episode 9. Not to dishonor Carrie Fisher, but to honor her because of how important her character is, but they ain't go down that road. And it's a tricky situation. What to do with that. But I thought he was the standout of the show, regardless of anybody's opinion of the show. I think everyone can agree that he was just so interesting, maybe a little too interesting, where he was like, oh, he's got some sort of big secret, and he's like teasing it every episode, and then we get to the finale, and it's like you still know nothing about him.
But I think the difference between him and Carrie Fisher was Carrie Fisher had so many years. This character had only been around for one season of a show. I think you can easily recast easier than with Carrie Fisher. But I will say, she shouldn't have been episode 9. It felt so off every single time she was in the movie. Like, you could tell the lines she was saying were not meant for the scene she was in. So it threw me off every time she had a line in episode 9, because it felt like, okay, what, you're having to add words for her because she's not there. So it felt like it kind of was sticky. Like, what was your thoughts on episode 9? Like, did you even notice it, or what was your thoughts?
I definitely knew going into the movie what they were doing with that. And it's like I respect them for trying to honor her with that. But yeah, it is noticeable, and I was a little shocked that they killed her off like on screen. Like, I thought it would have been, more meaningful to have like a ceremony beforehand. The audience would have understood, like, if like the movie just started and it's like, unfortunately, like our beloved princess passed away. To see her die on screen was a little like, oof.
Well, I feel like they should have, in that moment, like, really put more of Luke in. I think you would have actually made audience like the movie a little bit more if you'd had Luke training Rey, like, as a Force ghost. Basically, you have Carrie Fisher move on. They have a ceremony or something at the beginning, kind of have that darkness feeling to it, and then have Luke trainer, and then people would be excited, like, oh, Luke's gonna be really focused on this movie instead of like being in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then you could have like done like some CG, maybe bring her back in like the form of a flashback or a Force ghost or something. But yeah, like having it as if like she's just a character there in the movie. A little awkward, and yeah, you could tell it just it wasn't meant for that movie. It was filmed for another movie.
Well, that's why I say for season 2 of Ahsoka, I think they'll need a recast. I just think that's the best route. I don't think they had much of a choice, especially because it seems like his story seems so interesting and dark. I think one issue with the season finale is they didn't give us any hint on what that story is. We just don't know. Like, I still don't know what he was doing, even though it seems so interesting.
Yeah, he was standing on, what was he standing on, the hand or the finger?
The finger of the father. Which
Yeah.
did you end up watching the Clone Wars episodes explaining all of that?
I did like a while back, and I definitely need to rewatch it because I know like they're like the embodiment of the Force, but like it was a while ago, so it's kind of like I kind of forgot all of it.
Well, someone's hoping. I've heard a fan theory that the the father, basically Anakin replaces the father and becomes the balance of the Force. So he actually does fulfill the prophecy of balancing the Force, because after episode 6, he technically didn't balance the Force because of the sequel trilogy. So so is he actually the chosen one?
Was there something saying that maybe Ahsoka would become the daughter or something?
Yeah, well, technically she already is because of the owl that follows her. So she really is the embodiment of the light. But in saying that, everyone, let us know your thoughts on this topic. Like, are you excited for season 2 of Ahsoka? Are you not? Are you kind of curious how it's going to be? I'm kind of curious. But in saying that, our next topic is, as you can show, we have the Rey movie coming. And so we don't know much. We know close to nothing about the Rey movie. But Obey Shinoy, Obey Shinoy briefly spoke about it to CNN, where she said, "We're in 2024. It's about time we have a woman shape a story in the galaxy far, far away. This naturally has upset the type of Rey is a Mary Sue crowd from the sequel trilogy, with many of them misreading the quote as there's never been women doing anything in Star Wars, listing off female characters from Rey to Leia, Ahsoka, and others. Of course, she's talking about being the first female director of a Star Wars movie. Episodes of some of the Star Wars shows have been directed by women like Bryce Dallas Howard, Deborah Chow. Chow has also been the showrunner and director of every episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And of course, Kathleen Kennedy has been steering Star Wars as a whole for a long while now. But yes, it's significant that Sharmini Obaye Chinoy is the first female director directing a full Star Wars movie, theatrical release ever. This blew up the internet. Her comments truly exploded the internet. We've seen pockets of people like John Roca who got trashed on one side. Then you had the interview from Star Wars Theory that got blown up on the other side. So you have basically a war over these comments, which they're really not that much to it. It's just that she brought gender to the conversation. So Audrey, what's your thoughts of her comments and just your thoughts of the Rey movie as a whole?
I mean, I don't mind there being a lead female role. I don't care if it's a female directing it. I just want a good Star Wars story.
And that's, I think, where everyone is. Like, Drew, what's your thoughts?
Audrey, I think you put it perfectly. We just want good movies, and you know, it's the fact. I think if she made these comments when like Star Wars was thriving, sequel trilogy being amazing, all the Disney Plus shows being great, I think all of us would be like, cool, like we're fine with it. But
Let's go.
Who cares? But yeah, the thing is, we just don't know anything about the story, and you know, like regardless of her comments, it's like I don't know how many fans were asking for a Rey movie because Disney has been saying they're trying to like get away from the sequel, or they didn't say that flat out, but like that's what we thought. Okay, like maybe they'll kind of go away. I mean, we're getting episode 10. This is episode 10 pretty much. Like, who would have thought we'd be getting this so soon? Like, I thought, okay, maybe like 30 years down the line, they'll bring back Rey, Finn, and Poe, or maybe 10 years down the line. But it's literally like our next
Hey, we're not
movies.
far off from 10. It came out in 2019, if you think about it.
It's literally Rise of Skywalker and then episode 10. And it's like, we just want a good movie. Just make a good movie. And it's, you know, she doesn't say anything about the story, which is why I think people are reacting this way. She I don't know what like the question was to her which made her answer in that way. I think it's great that she's the first female director of a Star Wars movie, but is it do you know Star Wars? Like, are you other than you being the first female director, like, do you have a good story? Like that's what I think matters. Like when it comes to this.
Well, it's also she does not have a lot to defend herself with because she was a director in documentaries, which she did great work on these documentaries. She also did some episodes of Miss Marvel. It's a TV show. It's not a multi-billion or $1 million blockbuster that so many eyes are on. That's the first real like Star Wars movie coming back, which now The Mandalorian is probably replacing that. But it feels like the choice to pick her as the director was not based on her directing, but because of who she was as a female and as an activist, because that's how she describes herself as, is a female activist director, and that she wants to put all her activism in any project that she's a part of. And that's all fine for her to do, but that's not what the Star Wars fans are really wanting right now. We are so divided. The movies ended on such a messy note with The Rise of Skywalker. People just want a good story. And so the only thing she has said about this story is it's a female led directing movie. And so people are like, well, why should I be excited about this movie? I don't know any of your stuff. You're not an exciting director because you've not really done anything. And hopefully this movie is incredible. But it's not like saying like a Spielberg is coming to direct this movie or some huge director. And so people are going to take that seriously. Like, what makes you qualified for this job? Like, what's your qualifications? And it feels like Disney was like, well, we just need a woman director out there. It's like, well, why? I love, like, if they had Patty Jenkins, if they had kept her and had her directing this movie, no one's complaining. No one's saying a word because Patty Jenkins is a good director. Yeah, her Wonder Woman 2 was not a good movie, but Wonder Woman 1 is incredible, and she has great movies under her belt. This director doesn't have that. And so I think people were like, why are you doing, like, why are you chosen to be the next big Star Wars blockbuster director? And so, and honestly, you're right. No one really wants a Rey movie. It's been a while. Rey's an interesting character. I like the character. I don't like what they did with her in the movies. I like her as an actress. I love Daisy Ridley. I think she's incredible in everything she does. But the movies did not give her a good story. They just didn't. She was just kind of there, and things kind of happened for her, especially Rise of Skywalker. I mean, come on, that movie was so messy. It's fun. It's a fun movie to watch, but it's not a good movie.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
What was funny was someone else who's been canceled recently. Rachel Zegler. Yeah,
That's her.
she made, when she saw the news of our next topic for the what if, she comment or quote tweet on X, what if Palpatine returned?
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
Oh god, and the fact that she is, part of Disney's Snow White, how is Disney gonna feel about those comments? You gotta be careful, like online.
I don't know. I don't think she cares. I think she just says stuff, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it just gets her trash. So I'm like, what are you doing? You're getting a little into the weeds sometimes. I'm like, you're about to get canceled more where Disney's not going to be able to hire you.
And we've seen that before.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's why I say I think the comments were interesting. I do think on the you also saw on the Roka side, Roka was really defending, like, oh, it's so great to have a woman director, and the way that fans went after him was so bad. Like, I saw comments.
They said some pretty nasty stuff to him.
Oh my goodness. I mean, they were going after him over suicide stuff, and I'm like, dude, guys, stop. This is a movie. This is a movie franchise. It's Star Wars is there for all of us. But this goes into a discussion I wanted to have and a question that I am curious. Is Star Wars still made for kids? The new sequel trilogy, the new stuff that we have gotten recently, is Star Wars made for kids? Audrey, what's your thoughts?
I feel like with the Mandalorian side, with Baby Yoda, kids are gonna go crazy over Baby Yoda. Like, I don't know. I guess it depends on what it is, because we were talking earlier, like with recent year Star Wars movies, Revenge of the Sith, that was the first PG-13 Star Wars movie. But you, as a kid at that time, you were jumping up and down over it.
Well, it's because I went and watched the trailer this morning because I wanted to get that feeling of like, because I was so excited for Revenge of the Sith. I was like 13, I think, at the time, and I was in Boy Scouts, and I was jumping up and down, so excited. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so dark and so cool! Space battles, lightsabers. It just looks amazing." But I don't know if the sequel trilogy has gave kids that same feeling, because the Force Awakens was such a nostalgia play. It was really not made for kids. It was made for the older Star Wars fans who loved A New Hope and kind of didn't get that fan base. So, like, Drew, what's your thoughts? Do you think Star Wars is still made for kids, or do you think that they've kind of lost their base?
I think certain parts, like I think the Mandalorian did a really, really great job at bringing everybody together. I think that was one of the first things that Disney did that really, like, with between Baby Yoda and between like just an original story that stood on its own. I thought that did a good job, and then they don't seem to be targeting the kid audience, like which I think there's a balance to it. I think just making good stories is just key, which I don't know they haven't really been doing.
You know, it's interesting. You look back at Lucas. Lucas did not make his movie for specific fans. Like, he didn't go into saying, well, what would the fans want with this character? What would they want here? What would they want to take it here? It's like, no, he just made his story, and you either agreed with the story or disagreed. Like, you look at the prequels. Half the people love prequels, half people cannot stand those movies. But you can tell that the prequel series was driven by story. It was, I have a story to tell. I have Anakin that I am focusing on, and you're either on board or you're not. And also, Lucas was smart with focusing on how can I make toys for kids. And so he made so much money off of just toys. And what's really interesting when you look at toys and merchandising, it really does bring a fan base. It brings a whole generation to movies based on these toy sales, because it's like, wow, I have this character that I've been playing with that I love, and oh, I get to see him on the big screen. And I think that was also kind of the boom with the comic book industry and the superhero genre, was everyone wanted to see their character on screen the way that they got to see them in their mind and in their fantasies and their imagination. And I think that's another reason why people had such a problem with The Last Jedi, was people had such a connection to Luke, and they loved him and they saw themselves in him because he was a young guy that was growing up, that you saw on screen growing up, and people resonated with that. And so the moment you see him old and he's just given up on life, he's given up on the Force, he's cut everything out, their imaginations of who Luke was kind of got shattered. And so some people saw that as oh, well, it makes sense. And I can see where they get that. But then the other side's like, but that was my character. That was someone I looked up to. That was this character I loved from as a kid. I played with his toy. I did everything.
Then we got to see him in The Mandalorian. It was like, that's the Luke that we want.
And that's, I think, why season 2 was so incredible, seeing Luke be Luke. And people want those characters. I think people like seeing a young character that they can watch grow. That's why, like, the Rey movie can work, but the problem is they do not give Rey struggle. And that's my fear for this movie, is, are they going to give Rey struggle, or are they just going to make her this master Jedi better than Luke ever was, and not give her any struggle to deal with, like, what if she fails?
It's interesting where they're gonna go with that, and especially with all the controversy. And there is, one movie apparently, like, that we know, like, how are they gonna tie it all up in that one movie? Or are they gonna set up for a sequel? Is Rey even the main character, like, or is she?
That's the rumors. I mean, there's a rumor that Rey gets pregnant by Kylo's Force Ghost. I mean, I'm like, what is happening?
Oh god.
But that's the problem. We
The
don't
Force
know.
works in mysterious ways.
Honestly.
That's
Those
hilarious.
midichlorians, gotta love them.
Ooh. So that's what a mini chlorian is. Okay.
Somehow Rey is pregnant.
But no, I saw someone show a clip of Luke, George Lucas talking about Star Wars and talking about how he did connect it to like war and connect it to like modern day and connected those themes to his movies. And I thought it was really interesting. And someone brought up like, see, Star Wars has never been just fantasy and just escapism. They've always dealt with issues of today. But I realized I'm like, but there's a difference. Back then, you didn't have social media where everything you said was being recorded and everything that you ever even thought was going on 24/7. Secondly, people are so tired of modern politics and tired of hearing it and hearing the drama and the talking and back and forth and oh, this woman said this man said this, oh, I did this because I'm a woman. It's like people just want good stories. People want a good story that they can watch, that they can enjoy. And I think Marvel and Star Wars can still do that, but they've got to stop focusing on whatever modern conversation is and just put in the movie. If you're going to have a messaging in your movie, make it subtle, make it a good story. People don't care about your message unless you give a good story around it. If you're marketing your movie around the message, people are not going to want to watch your movie. We were talking about this last week. I don't think Disney is as woke as people like to say. I think it's more people hear the messaging that people want to push, and then the other side's like, stop it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to see this. We just want to watch a good story. Because if you look at the sequel trilogy, it wasn't that it was a woman's that was in charge of Star Wars or whatever. That's because the stories were bad. So people don't want to just watch a bad movie. They just want to see good stories, and we're just not getting that anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting. There's all these directors of the Star Wars movies and like the comments they've made getting pulled up, and I mean, it's like Disney just has an eye for certain people, like Ryan Johnson. He made a comment that he wants half of the people watching his movies to enjoy them and half of the people to hate it, and he thinks that's a good movie. That's who Disney wanted. J.J. Abrams, when talking about Rise of Skywalker or Force Awakens, maybe it was Rise of Skywalker, he said, if you like the movie or if you hate the movie, I understand. If you like it, I question your insanity. I'm like, why are you why are you hiring people making these comments? And it's like, that's what they're going for. They're going for these controversial people. And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the comments that have been made, and with Star Wars, like the fans will just pick apart everything and rip. You gotta be careful especially when you're not backing it up. If you're making good movies and stuff, I'm like, say whatever you want. But
Like people don't care. Like if especially with this director, if she had history of movies in her past, like oh she directed Avengers Endgame or she did the big movie or something, shove the movie in their face. But she doesn't have that, so her comments feel flat because it's like, oh, you should like me because I'm the first woman director. It's like, no, prove it to me.
yeah,
Prove that you're a good director. Prove with your work,
she's
not by your
confident.
words. Oh, she's confident, all
She's
right.
like, like I would be like, a little nervous, like, she's just like putting it out there and like, drawing all this attention, rather than like taking the like, I'm a big Star Wars fan and like I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And like I think like she could have worded it maybe differently, like, like I'm honored to be the first female director, rather than like it's time that the first female director is here and this is like finally we get to shape the story. It's like, okay, give us a good movie then.
Yeah, and if it's bad, those comments are coming back to bite her in the butt.
I
Oh my
For her
goodness.
sake, I hope this is a good movie, because she kind of put herself in a position now with like, yeah, people will bring it back for sure.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They
Yeah.
will, they will. But everyone, give us your thoughts. Like, are you excited for the Rey movie? Are you not? Do you think these hurt? Do you think that you're excited for the movie? Are you not a fan of these comments? Because I'm kind of curious. It's kind of the drama of the day right now. So our next topic is we are sticking with Star Wars. There is a rumor that we could be seeing a Star Wars What If series in the same view as the Marvel What If. According to a recent rumor from insider Daniel Rickman, parent company Disney, who also owns Lucasfilm, may take the concept of infinite possibilities and apply it to the Star Wars universe. Rickman claims that Star Wars What If is already in development. A Star Wars version of the series would likely also reimagine the pivotal moments within the canon. Superfans have already been imagining alternate reality Star Wars scenarios for years, and potential titles for a What If series could include things like "What if Padme turned to the dark side?" Game rant. I hate that. First off, I'm like, that was such a bad. Like, Padme go to the dark side. That she's not a Force user. No,
Yeah.
that's not even a good idea. But like outside of that, like, what's your thoughts on What If series?
I think that they need to, since there's so many books wrote on Star Wars, they at least need to pull some of that for What If, since the movies are canon. I guess the books aren't canon anymore.
That would be interesting. What kind of What If scenario would you want to see?
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get it or not. I kind of want to see the Mara Jade Luke Skywalker story that I was kind of hoping we were gonna get.
That would be like what if Luke got married after Return of the Jedi? Drew, what's a what if scenario that you would want to see in a movie?
Oh, there's a ton. And, it's so cool about like movies and especially Star Wars when you're watching, you're so invested. And like when your main characters, when something bad happens to them, you're like, oh man, I wish this would have happened. So this would be a perfect opportunity. I think the biggest thing for me, and I know so many other people out there, maybe you guys will agree, uh, seeing Anakin burning on Mustafar every time, just it gets me. I'm what if Obi-Wan had just like tried a little bit harder to kind of like turn him back, and like what if he saved him? What if he said, Anakin, like, I'm here for you, like, and just tried, and Anakin's like, what have I done? In that moment, it would just be so interesting. And then, then maybe they team up against the Emperor, and Luke and Leia are born, and then Anakin raises them. Like, anything with Anakin, I'm so freaking down. Like, what if Anakin likes sand? That might change everything. You never know.
Sand, it's not so bad.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that so much.
It's
Like,
coarse and
Disney,
irritating.
if you're gonna give us anything, give us a Anakin like sand episode. Just do it. Let's do it. Oh, that's amazing.
What if Obi-Wan bought the Death Sticks? Like, you never know.
Well, I love the concept. Honestly, I think Star Wars What If works even more than Marvel, because you're right. Like these points within Anakin, like this idea of like, what if he did not fall to the dark side? What if he killed Obi-Wan instead of Anakin getting burned up?
There was also the Emperor didn't know that Padme was pregnant because the guy who prepared her for the funeral made it look like she was still pregnant. Like, what if Anakin truly did it? Like, what if Obi-Wan took his lightsaber and finished off Anakin? Then Palpatine found out that he gets Luke and Leia and raises them for the dark side.
Oh, that would be see. There's so much interesting like premises. I just hope they do it. I hope they take it to those extremes, those dark points, because that's one thing I will say for Marvel's What If. They kind of left it more lighthearted in a lot of them. Sometimes they went down in really sad, like terrible paths, but sometimes they kind of kept it lighthearted. Star Wars needs to go into those dark areas, those like edgy, like that. Kind of like why I loved Revenge of the Sith was it's such an edgy movie. You just like go into like, oh, I love the premises, and I love it. I love the fact that they're even talking about this premise. I want to see it, but yeah, let us know your thoughts. Are you excited for a Star Wars What If? Do you want to see it? Which premises do you want to go down? Comment below, like what if scenario would you want to see? Would you want to see Palpatine return? So, in saying that, that's our main topics. We will have one more at the very end. But before we lose Drew, we want to get his thoughts on the fact we've got Cobra Kai season 6 coming out this year, plus the Karate Kid movie. What you feeling about season 6? And after that, what's your thoughts on the movie?
Well, I am so excited for season 6. Like, I just cannot wait for this. I am bittersweet. I'm a little sad it's the final season. However, I'm glad that the writers are ending it on their terms. And, the Cobra Kai Karate Kid universe isn't done. Like, they talk about doing spin offs and they have other ideas for things. So I'm really excited about that. We do have the Karate Kid movie coming out. That is not part of the Cobra Kai creators' vision. So that gets me a little nervous. Um, but this is going to be a big year for Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. It's kind of like you know, not many people are really talking about that right now. And I think like later in the year it'll get like talked about because we're gonna most likely be getting season 6. And then like right after that, a Karate Kid movie. Like that's a pretty big deal. It's the final season of one of the most beloved Netflix shows that has been running for like 6-7 years. And then this Karate Kid movie, Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio. It's gonna be a big year for Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. So listen, it's gonna be a lot to talk about on the Cobra Kai Kid channel. So I'm looking forward to the conversations there.
You're about to have a busy year.
Ooh, it'll be busy. It'll be busy, but fun.
Are
but
you
cool.
Where are you leaning on the movie? Like, are you excited? Are you nervous? Like, what's your and also what rumors are you hearing about the movie? Because I've not heard anything.
Yeah. So we've been getting announcements like over the last. This movie was announced like over a year ago, and when they first announced it, it was like, wait, what? Like a new Karate Kid movie? What does that even mean? And over the last year, we've been getting more and more announcements. Cobra Kai creators saying we're not involved in this. Ralph Macchio saying I don't know anything, and then Jackie Chan being rumored, and then all of a sudden, Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio are confirmed to star in it. They're looking for a new Karate Kid. Cobra Kai creators not involved. Movie's coming out the end of December, and apparently you're gonna have like there was this like plot description that came out of a young kid who moves to Brooklyn, and he starts teaching a man who works in a pizza shop karate. So the kid is teaching the guy, and it's like, okay. Oh, and it's not karate, it's kung fu. But then it's like, where did Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio tie into this? It's just a lot of question marks. And I just I hope they know what they're doing, but it just gets me, I think it's just really, really strange that you have Cobra Kai, this successful show, and the creators. If it wasn't for John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, Josh Shield, like the franchise, the Karate Kid franchise wouldn't be as relevant as it is right now. They revived this franchise and they did something so special. And they said, we want to do other stuff. We want to do movies. We want to do shows. If I was working at Sony, I'd be like, guys, you're bringing in the bucks. You're bringing in fans. Like you're like, this is just positive. Like you guys, whatever you want to do. And the fact that they're going their own direction. And I think it's because, the creators are focused on season 6. They had their series Obliterated, which came out recently. So I think
How
Sony
was it? I didn't get to check it out.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I need to check that one out.
Definitely check it out. It's fun. It's a rated R comedy, very, very different than Cobra Kai. It's a different premise, but it has that same kind of like, some of the comedy's still there, and like the characters, you feel some of that. I loved it, but
Nice.
yeah, I think they just have a lot to prove with this movie. So it's gonna be eventful, that's for sure, and I wanna love it all. So
Is it weird to say I was kind of hoping that Cobra Kai was going to end with a movie and not just a final season? Because that would have been. Because it feels like they're with season 6, they're leading up to the huge world tournament. So setting that up as a movie would have been so interesting.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I guess the only thing for me, and this is like, you know, I would like when I watch certain things I'm really passionate about, I like to be by myself and be focused. Like the only thing with a Cobra Kai movie is like you risk having like a person on their phone next to you, and I'm like, like I just can't have any of that. Like when I watch Cobra Kai, it's like a tradition. I'm like locked in a room for 10 hours by myself. I'm just watching.
Oh
I'm on the edge of
wow.
my seat. It's like it's so special. Yeah. But a movie would be cool. That would have been a cool way to go. But yeah, this is what they're doing. Final season. Hopefully hopefully the final episode feels like a movie. They kind of do like the Stranger Things where they go like, make it a longer episode and kind of really just go all out.
Does this movie Karate Kid, does it feel rushed?
Yeah, it does. It does. It kind of feels like, I hate to say it, but it kind of feels like what Lucasfilm is doing with Star Wars, where they're just announcing things. That's what it kind of just felt like. I just didn't see a purpose for it, and they don't even have a Karate Kid. The movie's coming out this year. They haven't even cast a Karate Kid. They posted a thing online, which is like, sign up for the Karate Kid, and one of the things it said no acting experience is required. That's what it said.
What?
Yeah, so they're looking for the next
What?
Karate Kid. They said some martial arts experience would be nice, no acting experience required, and Ralph Macchio is filming Cobra Kai season 6. The season 6 filming is going to take place over the course of 6 months. We already found that out, and this new movie is starting filming in March, which is very, very soon. So how is Ralph going to do both season 6 and this movie? And also, when they do cast the Karate Kid, what, they have like a month to prepare and learn how to act. Like we're gonna see someone come onto the screen like I don't know. It doesn't sound assuring, all these things. Like you want to be assured when you're getting a big announcement like Karate Kid. And I always said like the way to fix this problem is like do your story, take out Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, and just call it the Kung Fu Kid, and boom, it's fine. It's all good. It's a different thing, but they're calling it Karate Kid. They're bringing Ralph. They're bringing Jackie, which makes it seem like, oh, like yeah, we got something good. We got a plan. We're gonna connect it. I hope you do. You know,
Audrey, where are you laying on it?
I don't know. Finding out new information, I'm feeling a little iffy.
I'm worried. I'm very worried. Like I'm kind of with you. Like to me it felt rushed. The fact that it's coming out in December. I'm like, what? Where's your time? Like, how are you gonna like shoot this movie without having your main actor of the Karate Kid? Unless they're not gonna make him the focus.
so originally, get this. Originally, the movie was gonna come out in May of this year.
Wait,
Originally,
what?
and they changed that like a couple months ago. Like literally a couple months ago, they're like, oh, we're gonna move it back to December. But like, yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Like, how is Ralph Macchio gonna be in this movie? Like, I don't see how he has time.
Just like runs back and forth between sets. Like, I don't know. And I think I was talking to you before the show about this, about a theory that I had, which I mean, it's just my theory, but I feel like the Cobra Kai guys, because they're not involved in this movie, they want to make sure that they get out season 6 before this movie. That way, when the fans watch season 6, they can just take all 6 seasons for what they are, and then the movie comes out and it's like, all good, we already did our thing. But if the movie comes out first, then season 6, the movie could potentially leave a bad taste. It could potentially mess up Ralph. Like, it's interesting if the Cobra Kai creators aren't involved in the movie, but Ralph is in the movie and Ralph's in season 6, they have to know how Ralph's story is going to go in order to make this movie. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Also, like the chemistry between Ralph and Jackie Chan, to me, in that announcement video, they have such different energies. And like Jackie Chan's like this really energetic, excited person, and Ralph is not.
He did not
And you
want to be
saw
there.
it. no, he's like, why am I don't even want to be here. I'm like, Jackie Chan was like in it. Like, what did you think of that announcement?
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh my goodness. It was, I mean, it was quick. It's like 50 seconds, but like
Yeah.
Jackie Chan's so excited and great. I love someone who's excited about the projects, but I'm with you. I like, also, I have a question. Is season 6 feeling rushed? Because they only have like a few months until it's got a release.
It's a good question. I do think that I truly can't see the Cobra Kai creators saying like, yeah, it's okay if we release this after the movie. I think they would try to get it out this year anyway because we've been waiting some time for it. But I feel like with this movie, they want to get it out before. And on the the writers, they do some Q&As and they even say like, we're trying to get it out ASAP. I truly feel like their goal is to get out. And what I just realized, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. How interesting is it that you have this season 6 Karate Kid movie, and it's like the timing there, we don't know what's going on there, and then also with Star Wars, Mando season 4 and the Mando movie, it's kind of similar, right?
Kind of like, what's your thought? I think the difference is almost the opposite. One, they are the Mando movie. Whatever they decide happens with the Mando movie, that's what they're going to do with the season 4. If there's going to be a season 4 of Mandalorian, they're waiting. They're letting this movie. They're developing this movie. Their focus is this movie. They're not focusing on the season 4 until after this movie releases. Cobra Kai is different. They're two separate projects that are, we don't know if are connected or not, and you're bringing two different franchises within the Karate Kid universe together, and they don't really fit it because you got Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, and they're both distinctly different movies. And when they made these movies, they made sure they're distinctly different, especially the Jackie Chan movie, because they didn't want it to be completely similar to the original Karate Kid. So, and he's from China, so where, like, what's it seems it's an exciting premise. It's exciting bringing these characters together, but at the same time, it's like, but why? Like, are you just doing it on the nostalgia? Which I feel like that's the only reason they're putting them together.
It would probably
So,
be better for a Cobra Kai what if series. What if Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio teamed up? Like that would probably work better than this movie. I don't know. I'd be hyped for that.
and we'll finish the conversation on this because I think it is interesting comparing it to Star Wars, because so many people do compare Karate Kid or the Cobra Kai franchise to Star Wars in a lot of ways because they kind of modeled some things, some aspects to it. Um, why was why did Cobra Kai work in bringing old fans back, new fans in? Why was why were they able to do that and Star Wars was not?
It's I think with Cobra Kai, I think I think there's a lot of things, but I think one of the things was, it's not like they said, "Oh, like Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, like or Karate Kid, that's a franchise that hasn't been touched. Let's make a story there." Star Wars, they bought the company and they said, "Let's make 3 movies," not knowing what they were doing. They decided afterwards, we'll come up with what we want to do. Cobra Kai, they had a story. These 3 guys who are fans of Karate Kid first and foremost, and they had a story, and also they've been the consistent drivers of this story from start to finish. You're not like having all these different writers come in and change this and screw this up. They had one cohesive vision, and even if things did change along the way, it was all their minds. And what they do is they create stories that the fans want to see, like Ryan Johnson in The Last Jedi, his whole thing was like subverting expectations. And I think that's a good thing in stories, but not at the expense of a story like like Snoke. That's a character we're all wondering, who is he? Who is he? Ryan's like, "Oh, just you wait." And what does he do? He kills him off without any explanation. That's not subverting expectations. That's just not great writing. Now with Cobra Kai, Terry Silver, like going into season 4, I mean, they're hyping him up as this bad dude, and I'm so excited. Like, you know, he was the villain from Karate Kid 3, and I was shocked in episode 1 of season 4. Like, he's like moved on with his life. He's like in a better place. And even he's telling Kreese, like, we got to learn from our mistakes. And I'm like, wow, this is a really interesting direction. It subverted my expectations because I wanted to see the evil Terry Silver, but they kind of were working him up there. But ultimately, they give the fans what they want while also being surprising. You know, like they've really just done such a good job of Miguel falling off a balcony. It's like, obviously, like we didn't want that to happen. Miguel's my favorite character, but you know, it's surprising. Then they work to build him a redemption arc rather than just having Luke Skywalker. I came to this island to die, and then that's it. Like, just you know, they care. Cobra Kai, they care, and I think that's just the biggest thing is they care, and they're just good writers. They know what they're doing.
I've never even thought about connecting Terry Silver to Snoke. Just the whole subverting expectations. That's pretty great. I like that comparison.
Well, if you think about it, think about Luke and Terry Silver. They almost have a similar story where Luke is like, I don't want to come back to the Jedi. And Terry Silver says, I don't want to come back to Cobra Kai when Kreese comes to recruit him. So how come Luke's story didn't work and Terry's like worked? It didn't make sense for Luke to not, you know, come back after his sister died, after his best friend died and his sister was in need for help. But for Terry Silver, like, he moved on with his life, you know, and slowly he got worked back in. Now imagine if Terry Silver died at the end of season 4, like Luke died at the end of Last Jedi, and it's like, you know, they know what they're doing with Cobra Kai, and it's so impressive. It's so impressive how they satisfy the fans while also being like making things surprising, and that's not easy. They don't just they don't think, oh, what would the fans want to see? Let's just do the opposite. You know?
I mean, but what's interesting also, you bring up the whole idea with Terry Silver, he became the character everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see him just be dark, evil. They wanted to see that. Yeah. And so subverting expectations, but also bringing him to that point where everyone wanted to see. 100%. I think that's the difference with Luke. You don't see Luke get to the point of like becoming this hero that we wanted to see for years and years and years. He dies. Even though he does the right thing at the end, he still dies. And so, awesome comparison.
Yeah, no, you really, that's exactly right. Like, how disappointing would it be if Terry Silver just was good the whole time? Like, that's not the character we knew. We knew him as an evil dude, and brilliant to start him off as like a good guy, but we want to see him get there. And oh my god, by season 5, I mean, like, he's Terry Silver. He's that guy from Karate Kid 3 times a million. Like, he's great. It's amazing.
Well, in saying that, Dre, thank you so much for coming on and talking. And I love talking to you about Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. And when we get more news, especially a trailer, you're coming on. Just schedule out your plans. You're happy you're coming on.
I'd love to.
Because that's gonna be great. But yeah, anything you've got coming up? Anything you want to promote? What's up? What's going on your 2 channels?
Yeah, so I got Cobra Kai Kid and DrewTube. Cobra Kai Kid talking all things Cobra Kai, Karate Kid. DrewTube talking about different movies and TV shows and entertainment. I'm just, you know, doing some interviews, some cool interviews on both channels coming up. Covering. There's been some interesting news, so I've been doing that. And no projects yet to announce, but I always am coming up with different ideas and stuff. So just stay tuned. It will be a lot of fun. But just, guys, thank you so much for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. You know, this was such a fun conversation. Like, I mean, it flew by. I could talk to you guys for like hours about this stuff.
I know, right? Thank you. I mean, you're coming back. I mean, this is not going to be the last time you're going to be on. I mean, you're going to come back.
Somehow Drew returned.
Well, thank you for coming on. And yeah, thank you for watching the episode today. It was great. I love talking Star Wars.
This was fun.
It's been nice. I kind of like this podcast style that we're going with. We're trying new things. Let us know in the comments. Do you like it? Is there anything you want to change? I should be editing this on. This will release every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. so that y'all can have the podcast. I will possibly try to end up doing this on like Apple Podcasts and all that, but we're gonna do YouTube. We're focused on YouTube, but I'll get to the other stuff later. But yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, comment your thoughts, and yeah, we'll see you later.
Bye.